What's up, guys? Still sicker than a dog, but I figured after some news I got the other day, I figured I'd jump on the tabletop 320 hype train and show you guys why I run my highly modified Sig P320. So we're going to talk a little bit about this. Yup. So by now, I'm sure everybody's aware of all the stuff going on with the Sig 320s. It's been an ongoing mess. And then Sig Sauer comes out and uses a bunch of angry legal lawyer jargon, essentially slut shaming everybody for thinking that their stuff goes off on its own. I've always stayed out of the mix. I always thought that the P320s were pretty cool. I've shot a handful of them in different calibers, and they're pretty slick guns. They feel good. They shoot good. Yada yada yada. So over on Instagram, I got a direct message from one of you guys, old Swamp. What up, Swamp? He sent me the clip of Achilles Heel Tactical and that ND from the 320 going off. He said, happened in my hometown yesterday. And so that definitely hit pretty close to home for Swamp, obviously, but then just the whole barrage of 320 stuff coming out. And it got me thinking, although as you can see, my 320 is so heavily modified that it doesn't look like a 320 anymore. Wink, wink. It just got me thinking. And obviously, there's two sides to this whole debate and this whole argument. The comment section is absolutely lawlessness, and very little of it is actual like facts. Most of it is just raw emotion. And I kind of equate it to the same argument that we have with like PSA fanboys, or more affordable in stuff, the just as good as crowd. And when it comes to firearms and whether they function correctly or not, obviously the guys getting in the comments and throwing a bunch of shade and a bunch of hate, I mean, it's expected. They're trying to justify their purchase, and I would too. That's, a lot of guys that buy more affordable stuff that doesn't have quite the service and track record that higher end stuff does. They're going to want to justify that purchase and not, I guess, seem like a fool. I don't know. But so you can use that and kind of see where they're coming from with why they're saying the things that they're saying, because that pretty much on all comments on all videos all over the interwebs, that's what the two sides of the aisle is. I just watched a Ben Stoker video this morning talking about it, and honestly, my thoughts and opinions on the 320, its reputation now is so tainted that if you already own one and it shoots perfectly fine and you have zero whoopsies with it, then that's on you. Like I'm all for it. I know sample sizes and quality control can vary from region to region, stuff like that. There's quite a few of those 320s in circulation. So, you know, there's still an outstanding number of them that work just fine. And I'm not justifying it by any means, because you obviously see that I don't shoot any of those. But I think that the reputation of the 320 and Sig as a company is now tarnished to the point where we're obviously going to see 320 sales tank, absolutely tank. And because they have that reputation now, I don't think they'll recover from it. I don't, me speaking from me personally, if they were to like recall every single 320 that they ever sold, and then they had this extensive program to make them better somehow. Hey, we're going to put XYZ into each gun and we're going to fix the problem. And then they sold them all again. And you're like, oh, they fixed it. So now I can go buy one. I don't have to worry about it. Man, it is now a trust issue with the company. And that is the hole that they're going to have to dig themselves out of, because it's just like with a car, with a vehicle, that the engine starts sputtering or it dies on you or whatever. Like, you may know what the problem is and you may fix it, but even after you fix it with brand new parts, that relationship between you and that vehicle, that trust, has to be earned back again. You might make it a couple of miles down the road and then that thing starts wobbling again. You're like, oh, here we go again. That trust isn't back yet. And with how Sig handled it and what they said and how they slut shamed everybody for having opinions, I don't see them being able to save the 320 in the long run. I could very well see them scrapping the program completely. Obviously, not the M17, M18, the military contracts and stuff like that. But I don't know. There's so much tarnished opinion and reputation now that if I was them, I would just completely scrap the 320 program completely and be like, all right, those are discontinued. We're not going to sell them anymore. And then just come up with something brand new. And then, try and finish the gun before you start selling it, so that you're not using your customers as beta testers. So, I mean, there's a reason why most of us run stuff like this. Obviously, I'm not a Glock fanboy. I can't stand Glock from like a company standpoint. They don't innovate. They barely change anything with each new iteration. And then on top of that, for the features that a stock Glock comes with and what you're paying, it's pretty absurd. Now that the market has become so saturated with amazing pistols that are super feature rich right out of the box, that pisses me off about Glock. But Glock has that flawless record, so to speak. I'm sure there's been some incidents, but they don't have the reputation that Sig now has. And I'm obviously not trying to sell Glocks. I don't care what you shoot. I don't care what I shoot either, as long as it shoots and I don't shoot myself in the PP like a Sig. Now, that being said, this whole ordeal with the 320s going off by themselves, it may not be the root cause, but it is a side effect and symptom of the whole picture, where we need to take a step back and let's look at this and let this be a lesson to a lot of you guys, that when we go out there and we buy these tools and we buy this equipment, a lot of you guys out there are like, oh, I'm only going to buy it if it's mil spec. I'm only going to buy it if it's good enough for the military. And 9 times out of 10, military standards are usually higher and more robust than just everyday plinking standards when it comes to quality control and construction and all that stuff and what the actual tools can go through. So I agree with you there. But after having worked side by side with the government at many different levels, let me be the first one to tell you that yes, the government does want good stuff, but also the government only cares about the cheese. And so they're going to want to get the most bang for their buck. And a lot of companies out there know that. That's why Sig got the contract on so many of these different weapon systems, is because they can go in there and undercut, just like this one right here. This started off as a 19X, and this went to trials against the M18, the P320. And they're probably kicking themselves in the butt for not going for it now. But Glock won't get off their high horse. And I think Sig has chopped their own balls off, so to speak, by trying to pump out so much governmental contract hardware that their QC is just shot and they use their customers as beta testers. So let that be a lesson that mil spec is not all, doesn't necessarily mean better in a lot of ways. It 9 times out of 10 just means cheaper. So the guy that had the ND at Achilles heel at that range session, obviously the way that the instructor kind of handled that was less than, it was subpar. I could see why he was mad at first because when you're dealing with instructing people that often, like there's a lot of jokers that come through the classes that just at the end of the day, you're like, thank you, Jesus, that I didn't die. And thank you that no one else died, because this person does not need to handle a firearm. This putz just needs to have a rape whistle, and that's it. And so when you're giving out instruction on the line and doing shooting and all that good stuff, and then as you're giving instruction, somebody fires one off, you had a freaking desk pop right in the middle of instruction. Immediately, I could tell the instructor was pissed off, like somebody be yanking, putting their booger hook on the trigger. So that fight or flight instant, like dad mode kicked in. He was pissed off. He went over there and then immediately was like, "Is that a freaking 320?" And then we're off to the races with all that stuff. Uh, so obviously, confirm somebody's not doing dumb shit, and then secondly, confirm that the individual himself is safe and nobody's injured, and then you can go to step 3, which is start reaming asses and absolutely dumping all over whatever brand you dislike the most. So the actual point of the video, there's not one. So just be very, very cognizant of the equipment that you buy, and not only from a hardware perspective, but then the actual company itself and what kind of standards they hold themselves to. And for those of you watching that are still rocking a 320, obviously not throwing any shade at you guys whatsoever. Stay as safe as possible, guys. That's all I can say. We are now past the point of no return on the reputation of that company, and stuff's coming out of the woodworks now to where I just hope that you guys stay as safe as possible. Don't carry appendix, obviously. So, guys, let me know what you think down in the comments below with all this SIG stuff going on. I've been pretty quiet about it because I could really care less. Most companies that like 90% of their income is from government contracts. They don't care about us anyways. So I don't really care about them. But it is pretty interesting to see how they're handling it, which is pretty damn shitty. So let me know what you guys think down below. And then if I catch any of y'all seeing this that were actually at that Achilles heel class, give us some more details and stuff like that. And if any of you guys that are actually still shooting 320s out there, if y'all are going to switch to something else, let me know what you're going to switch to. I always love talking guns and gear with you guys. So appreciate it. We'll see you on the next one. Pew, pew.